once again have to live up to the bar that Jeff set. Look at you all here today. He would have been so disappointed to have missed this. As has been noted multiple times, he loved being social. He talked to everybody. And look, here is everybody right here. I'm sorry, introductions. I am Greg, Rich's favorite son. No, I kid. Well, maybe. I did deliver him grandchildren. Well, technically my wife delivered to... Yeah, you know what, let's move on. From a young age, he knew he wanted to be an insurance actuarial. Wait, hold on, that's not at all true. I thought that's true for anyone. Insurance was a job that became a lifelong rewarding career, but no, I posit that he did not initially want to be an actuarial per se, but he became an actuarial because he wanted to be a good dad. And like a good dad, he wanted more for his kids than he had. And in that case, that meant things like his kids having rooms, their own rooms. He grew up sharing a 2-bedroom house with 9 other people, 2 parents and 7 brothers and sisters, some of whom are here today. Thank you so much for coming. He provided for his family, raising his kids in an idyllic suburban upbringing with houses and yards and backyard barbecues and kids riding bikes and Little League baseball. Like a good dad, he loved baseball. He would come home from work and play catch with us in the backyard. Many here probably know that he loved Florida State baseball, but long before that, he took us kids to Phillies games. He taught us how to track the game with that little pencil, filling in the little diamonds in a little scorecard. He took us on the baseball road trips to see the other baseball teams in the other baseball stadiums. And none of this was because we were any good at baseball. We were remarkably average. But he never compared us to others, just to ourselves. Like a good dad, he knew to measure a kid not against their peers, but against their own potential. And like a good dad, he taught me to go the extra mile. Literally, we went extra miles, many extra miles. He drove me all over the state so I could earn a map-reading Cub Scout merit badge. He drove me to grade school dances and afar to look at colleges. He drove us on day trips, beach trips, fishing trips, weekend trips to campgrounds and to visit relatives, many visits to relatives. We didn't live close to any relatives growing up, but like a good dad, he understood the importance of family. And like a good dad, he picked me up when I needed him. He picked me up in the snow from faraway college to be home for the holidays. He picked me up from the depths of sadness when I was devastated going through my first breakup. He picked me up from the side of the road when my first car broke down again and again and again. He still made sure to pay for the labor even when that car was returned to us unfixed. Because like a good dad, he had integrity. And he knew the kid working on it had tried and put in his best effort. And like a good dad, he taught me the value of money. He helped me get a job at 11, a paper route, to start earning and learning, saving and compounding interest. It didn't take right away, but he never got too frustrated when I overdrafted my bank account, or his bank account, the one that was for emergencies. Sure, he was disappointed, but he was patient. Eventually, I learned financial literacy. Now I work designing tools for learning financial literacy. And like a good dad, he was supportive. Back to that paper route, he would wake with us at 5 a.m. and help fold and rubber band each paper, and if it was raining, he'd drive us around our route. About 10 years later, he popped in at my first post-college job at this small tech startup, and I was so embarrassed. And he was beaming with pride. He was so proud of that first job because he pushed us through our school years to study and to read. Even though Jeff and I were both A students, like a good dad, he braced us for the future. He knew that it wouldn't always stay that way. He wanted to instill in us a work ethic to be able to handle when school and when life got harder. And like a good dad, he loved the past. He'd read up on the Civil War, and when he'd come north, we would visit battlefields together. He loved his shows from the past, like Gunsmoke and Bonanza and Andy Griffith and the like. And his last real outing, just a little over a month ago, was spent exploring the past in the Smithsonian American History Museum in DC. We went through the exhibits, saw the original Star Spangled Banner. He bought a book from the gift shop. Yeah, because reading. Like a good dad, he loved reading. He read The Grinch That Stole Christmas at the holidays to us every year. He read storybooks to us nearly every night growing up. And he started every story, no matter what the story, with, "Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot." That joke never got old. And like a good dad, he told lots of corny jokes, all the time. Lots of puns, sometimes longer tales, pulling you in, thinking he's telling an important, serious life lesson, only to end up at the lamest of punchlines. He knew lots of dad jokes. Like a good dad, he taught me that dads should always have dad jokes on hand. Do you want to hear the joke about the piece of paper? Never mind, it's terrible. And like a good dad, he was positive, unyieldingly positive. He would answer every "how are you" with "hunky-dory." Unless he changed it up to the very rare "hunky and dory." In his last days, when all was getting dim, he was still a beacon of light, not wallowing in self-pity or sadness, but bringing joy and humor to all who came by. He was hunky-dory to the end. And like a good dad, he gave his all to put his kids first. Just last week, when he was no longer lucid, he rallied to connect with Jill on her final FaceTime call with him. Jill read to him her beautiful letter that she's going to share with you all in a minute. And he found the will somewhere deep inside to greet her and to joke with her, to sing with her, and to tell her he loved her. He had been incoherent. When the call ended, he rescinded back to incoherence. But for those brief few minutes, he found the energy and fortitude for one last great conversation, his very last conversation with his baby girl. He persevered to be a good dad one final time. I have 2 children, his only grandchildren, sitting in the front pew here. I hope I can celebrate you, Dad, not just this day, but every day, by harnessing the values you've instilled through your words and your actions on how to be a good dad. I love you, Dad. I miss you, Dad. Thank you for being a good dad.
As my brother said, some of you know me.